Pain was never the enemy. It was the first master, the silent one that demanded attention without words. Those who feared it could never rise above it, for fear magnifies suffering. But those who faced it with stillness began to see what it truly was, not punishment, but instruction. Every wound, every failure, every moment of struggle was a lesson wrapped in discomfort. The samurai understood this. To reject pain was to reject growth itself. To endure it with awareness was to forge the spirit into something unbreakable. In my early days, I saw many men who believed strength meant avoiding pain. They sought comfort, safety, and praise, and yet their hearts were fragile. The first sign of hardship broke their resolve. They had trained their bodies but never their minds. Pain exposes truth. When the body trembles, the spirit's nature is revealed. The one who complains in pain has not yet learned control. His suffering becomes louder than his purpose. The one who accepts pain quietly begins to see it differently, as a mirror reflecting where he must grow stronger. Pain is the body's language of reality. It tells you when you are weak, when you are unprepared, when you have overreached or misunderstood. It humbles pride and sharpens awareness. The samurai did not seek pain, but neither did he flee from it. He met it face to face, knowing that to feel deeply is to live fully. Pain reminds you that you are alive, that something within you is still fighting. When you numb it or run from it, you lose connection with that truth. Enduring pain is not about dulling emotion, it is about transforming it. Most people resist pain, tightening their minds against it, but resistance amplifies suffering. When you let go of resistance, when you breathe and observe pain instead of fighting it, it begins to lose its power over you. You begin to see it as part of the path, not an obstacle on it. That is the first stage of mastery, shifting your relationship with pain from fear to understanding. In battle, pain was constant. It came from the cut of a blade, the weight of exhaustion, the burn of training, and the loss of comrades. Yet I never allowed it to dictate my spirit. I observed it, honored it, and learned from it. Each ache was a reminder of what was still alive in me. Pain purified purpose. It separated the distracted from the devoted. When you can move through pain without complaint, you gain power over yourself. That power cannot be given or taught, it must be earned in silence. Modern men have grown distant from pain. They treat it as something to be erased, medicated, avoided. But when you erase pain, you erase progress. Growth is discomfort by another name. Every skill worth having, every strength worth earning comes through struggle. The body grows stronger only when it is broken and rebuilt. The mind grows sharper only when it is challenged by difficulty. Without pain, there is no transformation, only stagnation. There is wisdom in endurance. To sit with pain without labeling it as good or bad, to feel it without reacting, that is the art of the warrior. When you stop seeing pain as your enemy, you begin to use it as a guide. It tells you where to focus, where to adjust, where your limits still bind you. It is not there to destroy you. It is there to demand your evolution. Those who understand this stop complaining. Complaints are the sounds of misunderstanding, the noise of those who cannot yet see meaning in discomfort. Silence, on the other hand, is the sound of mastery. When a man learns to carry his pain quietly, he becomes different. His presence deepens. His energy steadies. Others feel his strength even when he says nothing because he has endured what they fear. That is the essence of the warrior's calm, not the absence of struggle, but the acceptance of it. Pain in his hands becomes discipline. It shapes him into something the world cannot easily bend. The weak curse pain, the strong converse with it. One runs from hardship, the other welcomes it as a test of truth. Every scar becomes a story of transformation, every trial a step closer to mastery. Pain will always visit you, but how you greet it decides what you become. Pain is not the enemy, it is the teacher that never lies. Endurance is the mark of true power. It is not the strength to strike the hardest blow, but the strength to remain unmoved when the world strikes you. The weak man reveals himself through his noise, through the way he complains, explains, and justifies his pain. The strong man reveals himself through silence. Silence is not emptiness, it is control. When you endure without complaint, you are not suppressing pain, you are mastering it. You are choosing dignity over desperation, composure over chaos. That is the essence of endurance, the ability to suffer without losing yourself. There were times when I faced exhaustion so deep that my body screamed to surrender. The air was heavy, the ground unsteady, and every muscle ached for release. But I learned that to endure was to discover another layer of strength, one that lived beyond the body. The body reaches its limit quickly, the spirit does not. Endurance begins when the body fails. It is born in the silence that follows pain, in the moment you choose to continue even when nothing inside you wants to. The samurai did not complain because complaint is a leak in the spirit. It weakens resolve and invites defeat before the battle is even lost. Words carry energy, and when you use them to lament, you feed your suffering and make it stronger. Silence, however, starves weakness. It keeps your strength contained, like a blade kept sheathed until the right moment. There is power in holding your pain privately, in refusing to let the world see it consume you. The man who can suffer without expression has achieved command over himself. Modern men speak too much of their struggles. They search for comfort through pity as if acknowledgement could ease the weight they carry. But pity cannot strengthen the soul, only endurance can. When you endure silently, the pain turns inward, forging you from within. It purifies. It disciplines. The silence between your suffering and your response becomes a forge where your will is tempered. You emerge sharper, more centered, more disciplined. Complaining, on the other hand, disperses that energy. It turns strength into sound and resolve into noise. Endurance is not coldness. It is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. To endure does not mean you do not feel pain. It means you refuse to let pain dictate your behavior. You acknowledge it without letting it command you. That is what separates warriors from the ordinary, the ability to stay composed when everything inside is burning. The world watches you not when things are easy, but when things fall apart. In those moments, your silence speaks louder than your cries ever could. Pain tests not only your body but your honor. The way you carry your suffering reveals who you truly are. When you complain, you hand over your power to what hurts you. When you endure, you reclaim it. The samurai found nobility in quiet suffering because it reflected self-command, a state where nothing external could dominate the internal. Even in agony, they stood upright, their expressions calm, their movements deliberate. The silence around their pain was not denial. It was proof of strength beyond words. Endurance builds trust within the self. Each time you refuse to give in, you prove to your spirit that you are capable of more than you thought. That trust becomes unshakable. In the future, when challenges arise, your mind remembers, I have endured before. I can endure again. The man who learns to bear hardship without complaint becomes impossible to break, because he no longer fears pain. He has lived inside it and returned stronger. There is a sacredness to enduring in silence. It connects you to something deeper, to the timeless rhythm of those who came before, who faced suffering not with despair but with grace. Endurance links you to that lineage of warriors, of men who chose strength over reaction. When you walk through pain with silence, you walk with them. You join the eternal brotherhood of those who refuse to bow before hardship. The world will never be without pain, but it will always reward those who face it without weakness. The one who can endure quietly commands not only respect from others but mastery over himself. His silence becomes his armor, his composure his weapon. Endurance is not survival, it is silent strength in its purest form. To live without complaint, one must first learn to accept reality as it is, not as he wishes it to be. Pain, loss, failure, these are not punishments. They are truths of existence, parts of the same balance that gives meaning to life. The samurai understood this deeply. He did not argue with what was. He did not wish the storm to stop. He learned to move within it. To complain is to resist reality, and resistance only deepens suffering. The one who accepts pain, who stands firm before it, learns to command his own mind. Acceptance is not surrender. It is the purest form of strength, the moment when you stop wasting energy fighting what already is and begin using that energy to master yourself. I remember the sound of rain falling during long nights of solitude. There were no battles to fight, no voices to distract me, only the silence of my thoughts. In that silence, I realized how easily the mind creates its own enemies: regret, fear, doubt. We resist what has already happened, or we fear what may come. We fight ghosts, and in doing so we weaken ourselves. But when you accept everything exactly as it is, every loss, every scar, every difficulty, you stop fighting shadows. You begin to move with clarity. You begin to see life as it truly unfolds, not as you wish it would. Acceptance requires humility. Most men cannot accept pain because they believe they are owed comfort. They expect fairness from a world that has never promised it. But life owes you nothing. The samurai lived by this truth. He did not demand that life be easy or kind. He only demanded that he remain strong and honorable, no matter what life offered. When you accept that pain and struggle are part of your path, you stop viewing them as obstacles and start seeing them as steps. Every hardship becomes a test, not of fate, but of your ability to remain centered. When the blade meets resistance, it either bends or cuts through. Acceptance is the difference between the two. To bend is to yield to fear, to complain, to resist what cannot be changed. To cut through is to meet reality with calm and precision. You cannot control the world, but you can control your response to it. That is the secret of strength. When a man accepts the situation before him completely, he gains power over it. The struggle no longer consumes him. It becomes part of his rhythm. The samurai trained his mind to remain unmoved in the face of pain or chaos. He understood that the moment he resisted, his focus broke and the battle was lost before it began. This same truth applies to all of life. The one who complains loses twice, first to the pain itself and then to his own reaction. But the one who accepts reality loses nothing. He remains free, even in hardship. Complaints are the voice of the powerless. Acceptance is the silence of mastery. Modern men waste much of their strength wishing things were different. They drown in self-pity, in anger at circumstances, in the illusion that life should be smooth. But a smooth path never made a skilled warrior. Hardship is not an interruption of life, it is life. Each challenge, each disappointment is a chance to sharpen your inner blade. When you stop resisting, you can finally learn. When you accept, you can finally see. Acceptance opens the door to awareness, and awareness is the beginning of control. There is peace in acceptance, not because it erases struggle, but because it aligns you with truth. The moment you stop fighting what cannot be changed, the mind quiets. You begin to act from a place of focus, not frustration. You begin to move with the flow of life instead of thrashing against it. This is how the samurai endured defeat without despair, loss without collapse, pain without complaint. He saw everything, victory and suffering alike, as parts of the same whole. Both were teachers. Both were necessary. To accept pain is to respect its purpose. To accept loss is to honor what was given. To accept failure is to uncover the lesson hidden within it. Every experience has value if you are calm enough to see it. When you meet reality with grace, the world cannot break you. It may wound you, but it cannot destroy your center. What you accept, you can control. What you resist controls you. There is a moment in every man's life when the weight of the world feels unbearable, when pain, failure, and loss seem to close in from all sides. It is in that moment that most men break, not because the world defeated them, but because they believed they could only move forward without suffering. The samurai knew this illusion well. He trained not to escape pain, but to move through it. He did not seek a life free of struggle. He sought mastery within struggle. For it is only in walking through the fire that you learn to command it. Pain is not the enemy. It is the forge. Without it, steel remains soft and the spirit remains untested. The purpose of hardship is not to punish but to purify. The fire strips away weakness, hesitation, and vanity until only what is essential remains. Most people run from this process. They chase comfort, they avoid challenge, they complain when life scorches them. But those who endure the burn emerge sharper, calmer, and stronger. The samurai understood that pain is not meant to destroy you, but to awaken you. To endure it without complaint is to be reborn through it. The mind, when faced with pain, seeks escape. It wants to explain, justify, or collapse. But the warrior knows that endurance requires stillness. The more you resist pain, the more power it gains over you. The more you observe it, the weaker it becomes. It is not the sword that wins the battle, but the mind that wields it. When you train your spirit to stay unmoved in the midst of agony, pain transforms from a tormentor into a teacher. Every cut, every failure, every loss becomes a lesson in control. You learn to breathe through discomfort, to find calm in chaos, and to act with clarity when everything inside you screams to stop. There were moments when the ache of exhaustion, the sting of loneliness, and the uncertainty of tomorrow pressed hard against me. But I learned something in those hours: pain cannot break a man who does not resist it. When you walk straight into what frightens you, when you let the fire touch you without flinching, it loses its ability to consume you. You begin to see that pain was never an enemy, only a messenger. It comes to show you where you are weak. It reveals the edges of your endurance and the depth of your will. To master pain is to master life itself. The modern man avoids this truth. He hides from discomfort, numbs his emotions, and calls it peace. But peace bought through avoidance is not real. It is fragile, easily shattered by the smallest difficulty. True peace comes from the understanding that no storm can shake what stands rooted within. The samurai's calm was not born from safety. It was born from exposure to danger. He faced death daily, not because he loved it, but because it taught him to live without fear. He understood that strength is not found in avoiding suffering, but in transforming it. Pain, when accepted with discipline, becomes fuel. The world you live in today has made it easy to escape, easy to distract the mind, easy to run from challenge. But the more you run, the more control you lose. The fire still burns, only now it burns unseen inside you. To reclaim your power, you must turn and face it. Stand still. Breathe. Let the discomfort speak. Listen to what it's telling you. The moment you stop fearing pain, you begin to see its purpose. It teaches you to let go of what is unimportant, to strip away the noise, to focus only on what truly matters. Every scar you carry is proof that you endured. Each one tells a story of survival, of courage, of self-mastery. They are not marks of weakness, but symbols of transformation. The man who accepts pain without complaint carries within him a quiet strength that no one can see but everyone can feel. His presence calms others because he has already faced what they fear most. He has walked through the fire and come out refined, not destroyed. When you walk through pain without resistance, you discover something sacred: the stillness that exists beyond suffering. It is a silence so deep that no fear can touch it, no loss can shake it. That silence is freedom. It is the state of a man who no longer runs, no longer resists, no longer needs to be saved. It is the state of mastery. Pain is not your punishment, it is your path. Walk through it and you will find yourself unbreakable.